Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more.
You're listening to The Man That Can Project with Lachlan Stuart, a global movement created to empower men and open up what's really going through their minds by having real and raw conversations about life's unique challenges and our individual ways of processing it all. Welcome to The Man That Can Project.
Yo, welcome back, gents. My name is Lachlan Stuart. I am the founder of the Man That Can Project and your host of this podcast. I'm a men's performance coach helping men take their life to that next level. And I am super excited that you guys are here to listen to these episodes to get a heap of value and shift perspective or gain different insights on how you can take your life to that next level. Now, if you aren't aware, if you haven't heard, there are 7-day free trials available to check in to the Inner Circle. Now, the Inner Circle is phenomenal. We've got men from all around the world tuning in, learning different perspectives, tools, strategies on how to master the 8 areas of life through very specific topics, right? As of right now, today is a Thursday as I'm recording this. Tomorrow morning's Inner Circle call is we're discussing what we aren't taught about relationships, how to understand the 3 phases of a relationship, and ultimately how to navigate to phase 3, which is lifelong love in a relationship. So it's going to be awesome to get inside the other men's minds around what their experiences have been, what has held them back, what has worked well for them, so we can gain a collective or a collection, of insights and lived experiences, plus some theory there to put it together to help the men, get some tools and ways of thinking on how they can improve their own individual relationships. And for those who aren't in relationships, they'll be there for when those times come. So if you aren't a member of the Inner Circle and you want to be a member, or you just want to check out the 7-day free trial, head over to themanthatcanproject.com/Inner Circle and you'll see the 7-day free trial there. It is capped to 100 members at any one time, and we're sitting at 39 now. So that will fill up very quick, especially once I really start pushing it and more men start seeing the results within the new year. So thank you guys. Enjoy the episode. You're going to get a heap out of this one. Let's dive in. So let's go. So guys, what I want to share with you today is a perspective shift. I've been spending a lot of time lately thinking about moments in my life that have caused me to think differently, also potentially should have caused me to think differently, but necessarily didn't. And, what I was thinking in that moment of time and why I didn't take action when I probably should have, right? I speak a lot about, for me, it was hitting that rock bottom point before I decided I could create change. And I often see it a lot of the time where a lot of men wait till they're at, worst case scenario or at rock bottom before they do change, right? And I would love to be able to help more men not get to that point, to realize that, by a consistent daily action, by understanding that seeking help, and what I would define help as in the context that I'm about to use it would be help in a way that we grow, right? Like just like an iPhone where you upgrade every year, we seek out conversation, perspective, tools, strategies, resources, information to upgrade who we are as an individual, who we are as men, so that we can show up better for ourselves, but for other aspects and components of our life. And the here today, gone tomorrow, for me, hadn't really thought about, like, maybe would have shared it, but I don't think I've definitely spoken about it. Back around the moment in my life, I think it was 10, around there, where I had a car accident, and I've crashed multiple cars in my life. I consider myself like a bloody cat, where I've had multiple lives with certain things, but the specific night or the specific event that was after my sister's 21st birthday. So what would that make it? My 21st was in, I can't remember when my 21st was, 2012. So yeah, it would have been 2010. I was on the money. So 2010, I was at my sister's 21st out at my parents' place, and I was supposed to be driving back into my girlfriend or partner at the time's house, go see the movies, all that sort of stuff. And it was an afternoon sort of shindig, went into the late afternoon, evening. And when I decided I should be driving in, I'd obviously had a few drinks. I was a little bit tiddly. And at that point in my life, I was 19. So for a lot of you guys who are listening, I don't know if you can relate. I'm sure a lot of you probably can. When you're at 19, you feel like you're fairly fucking invincible. And I thought at that point in my life, I'd got away with taking cars, driving underage, crashing cars in the past, and I thought I was invincible. And to me, it was going to be, I'm just going to drive straight into town, and I'll be good. I'll get to get all comfortable and hang out with the missus. And from that point, I still remember. So for anyone who's been to Kabbalah, right, just outside of Toowoomba near the army barracks, you'll understand what the T section looks like here. They'd had to offset one of the T sections probably 30 meters down the road, just because there was a lot of crashes there. And what that caused when you turn into Donovan's Road, going towards my parents' place, is like this S bend to sort of straighten it and join it back up to where the T section essentially was. And when I was coming flying down the road one night, so I was driving a BMW, and it was bucketing down rain, or it had been bucketing down rain. It wasn't at that point in time. I still remember as I'm flying and going to turn, not like turn, but like veer left around that S bend sort of moment, the back started spinning out in the car. And I remember it was like the whole fucking time just slowed down. I don't know if anyone's experienced this, but it literally slowed down. I had time to check everywhere, see the rear, turning around, and I ended up going literally 180 degrees. And if the wash-off drains, who've got the irrigation drains on the side of the road, if you've seen those, probably not similar to a city, more of a rural thing, flipped back through that and hit a tree, rolled and hit a tree. And that whole moment was slow. And I remember thinking at that point in time, one, this is going to be fucking expensive, but this was a bad decision, right? Speeding, having a few beers, bad decision. And how it played out, I managed to get out of the car. The passenger side was impacted pretty severely. Had someone been in the car with me, I would not imagine that they would be here anymore, like, based upon hitting the tree, which scares the shit out of me. And it also, I'm so fucking lucky at the same time. And it's funny that my first thoughts at that point weren't it was money, that it came down to like, this is going to be expensive. But what happened next was, obviously you've got this big silver BMW sitting on the side of the road in the bushes on its side. And I was like, well, shit, I need to get this towed out and get it back on the road. I don't want anyone to find out. I don't want to get in trouble, all of that sort of stuff. And luckily, one of my mates had a tow truck and all of that sort of stuff, and they had a property probably 2 kilometers away. And my first thought was, all right, I need to get onto them and work out how I can get them up here to do that. As I'm, jumping on the phone to do this, a car is coming down the road, and I saw them drive past. So I'd managed to rip a few branches off and try and cover the car. And I remember they would have got 20, 30 meters past me, and they would have had the windows down. I just heard some bloke go, do you see that in the bushes? So I ran out on the road and was like, just fuck off, I'm dealing with it. And they'd come from my sister's party. So obviously, I told them to go away and not to call anyone. But who rocks up fucking 10, 15 minutes later was mum and everyone else. So got caught out on that one, but was fortunate enough to get the truck towed and all of that sort of stuff was fine. And I managed to sort of get away, got into town, and still stayed at my missus that night. And, as I was thinking about that this afternoon, I've always joked about it because it was such an expensive experience for me, but I've never really put into perspective just how fortunate I am that my partner wasn't in the car and that I wasn't hurt. I had whiplash and that was about it. At the time I was like, I would rather have broke my arm or leg or anything than having to pay what I had to pay. My parents had to pay for that car. So I think about that moment. It's like we're here today, right? All of us, for those who are tuning in, listening to this, for those who are sitting here watching this, but we can be gone tomorrow, or someone in our life can be gone tomorrow. And what I'm really wanting to get across to people is the fact that we're not invincible and we are fucking replaceable. There is so many of us men that sit back, right? There's so many of us men that don't make decisions, right? We avoid making decisions. We come up with all kinds of excuses so we don't have to make decisions, okay? Because we're afraid of making these things. And it always plays in the back of my mind. And I really think I've used this subconsciously. And I'll share the other way I've used it, because I said I would share 2 ways I've used this to empower myself to create changes. That we use this to slow the process down because it holds us back. And a lot of us would rather stay where we are right now than risk failure, risk embarrassment, risk judgment, risk loss, right? A lot of us would rather work to save $10 than to take a risk to earn 20. And it's that exact mindset that kept me stuck for such a long time. I didn't want to invest, or I'd never invested in myself at that point in time unless it was, I was getting it paid for by the government or it came with school. And because of that mindset and because of that approach, I was exactly where I was at that point in time. And for those who've listened to enough of the podcast episodes, or you've followed enough of the stuff I talk about here, you'll know exactly the dumb shit that I've done. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to a lot of that. And so if you can, this is what I want to share with you. That is, we're not, 1, invincible, and 2, we're fucking replaceable. So you need to start thinking about it. The moment that I started thinking about, okay, well, if I was gone tomorrow, how would I want to be remembered? And I know this is fucking cliche, but if we actually start listening to those cliche things, life can be very fucking simple, right? Because often it's those cliche things that we keep hearing over and 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 over again that are the things that really set us up to live an abundant and fulfilled life. A lot of you guys are here because you want to live an abundant and fulfilled life. You want to have success and whatever that looks like for you. You want to feel loved. You want to feel connected. You want more. But you're not prepared to play the game that way. And life is one big game. So we then start thinking about this, right? Okay, well, I'm not invincible. I could die at any moment. I could lose something at any moment, which means I need to make the most of what I've got right now. And if I don't have what I need right now to leave the impact that I want to leave, what do I need to do to get that? What do I need to sacrifice? What do I need to invest in to get that? To fast track that process. Because if we aren't prepared to do those things, don't expect to get close to that legacy, because you will get distracted. Life is getting busier and busier than ever before in human history. Notifications from technology, right? More people having access to you than ever before. Steal your focus. So you have to be super fucking disciplined to get what you want. How do we slow down? How do we figure out or decide, what is important to us at any one point in time, and how do we remain focused on that? Because if we start looking at here today, gone tomorrow, and we look at the career, right? 1 minute you may be flying high, and I think a lot of people can probably relate at the moment. Obviously, during COVID, there's been a lot of redundancies that I know about. People have lost their jobs, and at one point in time, you may have thought you're irreplaceable, and next minute you're gone. And it's like, well, what are you doing to prepare yourself for worst case scenario? And it's obviously you don't want to be focusing on that, but how are you going to make yourself so valuable that your job doesn't want to lose you? How are you going to make yourself so valuable or confident in your own ability, that you can survive whatever's been thrown at you? And I look at this from a career point of view, and whether it was with the footy or various other things. As soon as I was done, no one cried about it. No one gave a shit. They just got someone else to replace it because I wasn't really that valuable. I was just another number. Most of us are just another numbers. So if we put a lot of our extrinsic value on extrinsic factors, it's not going to have much value. So we need to find that once again, that inner value. 2, if life ends, that here, today, gone tomorrow, are you really living, or are you being held back, right? Is how you would be remembered right now how you want to be remembered? What do you need to do, or who do you need to become? What do you need to learn? What sacrifices, maybe what skills do you need to develop? What relationships do you need to build to be remembered in the way that you want to be remembered? Because if we don't start thinking about that, guys, it's what's the point? I know a lot of you can come up with your own things, and I guess my way of thinking around this is I was not fucking unhappy. I just was not happy either. I was living very, very mediocre. I can't even pronounce the word at the moment. My mouth's so dry. But I was living in a mediocre kind of way for what I wanted, right? And while life wasn't that bad, it wasn't very fucking good either. And I wanted to create change, and I needed to understand that money comes and goes, so the risks that are associated with that are fine, because I believe I'll always be able to earn more money. But I won't be able to always learn the skills, or I may not have the time to learn the skills, or the access to the people to learn the skills, or develop what I need to develop, or learn the mindset that takes time to show up how I want to show up. So I urge you to think about this today, that here today, gone tomorrow, and how you can utilize, I guess, my story, and I'm sure you all have your own moments, or whether it's through your career where you may have been replaced, or you may have seen other people in the workforce easily be replaced when you didn't think it's possible, or through moments where you've seen your life fucking flash before your eyes, it's slowed down and you've put yourself in a situation that could compromise things. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I appreciate you guys listening, and it's been super humbling the last week as Spotify has released its Wrapped, and to see a lot of guys having the Man That Can project as one of their top podcasts that they've listened to for the year, or listened to in the most episodes in a day, all those sorts of cool things. It is honestly humbling, because what once started as a way for me to improve my communication and also just share the things that I'm learning and the experiences that I had from life, to be a tool that a lot of you guys are getting value from. I am humbled and grateful that what these episodes can deliver, add value to you guys, and I'm looking forward to connecting with more of you in person over time. And for those who are jumping in the free Facebook group, it's my goal over the next couple of months to call all of you and find out more about what your goals are for 2021 and where you're going as individuals and as men. So appreciate you guys being a part of the community. Until next episode, have a great time. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.